how that you can insure the laptop through you.
Yeah, because yeah. So apart from working with life assurance,
Yeah.
I work with an agency called
Yeah.
Nyaseri Agency.
Yes.
So Nyaseri deals with property, vehicles, anything insurable. As long as you love it and you'd want to insure it, just let me know. Let's see how we can do it.
So you're talking about I
So
can insure my laptop.
yeah. Because actually, we not even your laptop.
Mhm.
Start from home. You can actually insure your home stuff, like your TV, your sound system. What else is really
Fridge.
important? Yeah, your fridge, anything electric and electronic furniture, anything in the house. And
Yeah.
that is one point that we normally assume, but it's actually the cheapest and the
Advisory.
yeah.
Yeah.
So my name is Steven Njuguna or Njuguna Waithera, as normally that's normally what I use, or rather the common name. Njuguna Waithera. Been in the financial industry for like call it 9 years now, headed to the 10th year. That is the June 3rd next year.
Well, congratulations, man.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah,
It's
it's a
been
long time.
yeah, it's been a journey,
Uh huh.
but wouldn't call it less. But yeah, we're thankful to God.
Damn. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Definitely. So just a small background to understand what inspired you to pursue a career in helping people understand the finances better.
Yeah, I guess for me, I would call it more of passion and interest because originally I didn't really know what to really do and what to really follow on.
Uh huh.
But it just came by through a friend that we had some recruitment somewhere and we
Yeah.
had some good bids. So I decided to just go try it out. And for me, I actually even post school for that.
Yeah.
So when I went out trying and immediately it was slightly just immediately after high school, so I had also to convince my parents that there's this one thing that I really want to try. If
Yeah.
it works out well and good, I'll be able to manage myself. If it doesn't, I will be able to go back to school full time.
Yeah.
So to cut the long story short, I went tried it, and by the second year I was double sure this is exactly what I want to do. So I actually even engaged myself even in the courses that
Yeah.
are related to that.
Yeah.
And yeah, 9 years down the line, that's why I'm here.
Damn, man, that's an amazing story. I've known you since way back, back in the day.
Yeah.
And you're funny. Your story is fascinating, by the way, because you found your calling really young. It's not like us where before we found that calling, dude, man. It's like I also did the same thing. Convinced my parents about, hey, I want to go do this game and all that kind of thing. But the thing failed miserably. So they were like, yo, man, we trusted you, that kind of stuff. So what do you want to do next?
Yeah.
But obviously, it was like, yo, man, I have to redeem myself.
That's why you really have to trust yourself and
Yeah.
trust your game, because everything that you're really engaging in and you're really trying out, it doesn't really mean it will work out perfectly. Just it's just life.
Yeah.
That's some of the things that we can never really uh, explain.
Definitely,
Yeah, yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
So, let's talk about the importance of financial planning.
Mm-hmm.
So, why is financial planning crucial for individuals and families, and what's the consequences of neglecting it?
When it comes to financial management, it's I would call it a core, or rather a very important. It is a really key point when it comes to life. It's
Yeah,
just like breathing in and leaving.
yeah,
So for you to live, you must breathe in, right? And
correct.
also breathe out. So when it comes to financial management, it basically means for you to grow, for you to achieve that you're really looking forward to. Uh, there must be some sacrifice somewhere, or
Yeah,
rather, there must be something that you must do for it to have that ripple effect of your growth.
hmm,
So financial management, I would say it's really key because anyway, for you to eat, you must work. So if you can just sleep there and wait from manna. Back at the gone are the days that we really used to believe that manna would come from up there, and people would still be enjoying their meals.
yeah. Funny thing, people still trust that,
If you sit down and really think and rethink,
Yeah,
it could be a very big challenge because can you imagine yourself having maybe your favorite meal. Call
Yeah.
it even chicken, because
Yeah.
for me, I'm really a fan. Every other day.
Yeah.
I don't think it would really augur well. I don't know. You'd actually get to a point where you'd actually be thinking, boss,
Mhm.
can't I have something else? Hata kama ni supu yake, you know?
Yeah.
But for me, okay, I don't know.
Damn.
But
Yeah.
yeah, let's let's not really dig that up. Sana,
Yeah,
'cause
chicken.
we're
I do.
already getting hungry.
Well, we're gonna see what we can do after this, man. So, what is the key components of a comprehensive, like, financial management for anyone out there?
It's just a very basic thing.
Yeah.
Talk of a vehicle. I normally use the example of a vehicle just to make it get home. Before you have your car on, of course, there must be fuel, right?
Yeah.
There must be, the wheels must be right. And the
Correct.
car's condition should be as well right. So, and also, you should actually be looking at the securities in case anything happens, or rather, in case I have a flat tire.
Yeah.
At least I should be having a sub
Yeah.
to maybe substitute the flat tire. So that's the financial journey, the financial whatever you should look at. And whenever you're looking at the financial part, of course, you should have your current life, or rather the current state that you're in. You should have your emergencies, right? Those are your securities. And you should as well have your tomorrow's goal. That is whatever you're looking forward to, because I believe any road is right if you don't have a destination. But
Yeah.
once you have a destination, at least you're double sure which road is right, because no road is wrong.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and no timeline as well is wrong unless you have a time bound yourself.
All right, man. You've touched on three main things, which is like the current state,
Yeah,
the emergency,
Yeah.
and tomorrow's goals.
definitely.
Which I think it's the way you just put it, man. That's so simple. It's so understandable.
It's a simple thing. Why? Because for you to achieve something today, it must be a ripple effect of something else, or rather a sacrifice that you made. Just like I was talking about breathing in and
Yeah.
you being alive. Because of course, when you're done and gone, there's no breathing in.
There's
and
no
out.
breath.
So yeah, so it's as simple as that.
Let's expound a little bit on those three areas. I'm definitely going to cover some of these questions down the line. But obviously, the current state, does that deal with budgeting, managing expenses, and that sort of thing?
Definitely.
All
Definitely.
right, all right, all right. So, is budgeting a cornerstone of financial management? And what advice do you have for creating an effective budget and sticking to it?
Wow, that's basic. That actually basically boils down to discipline.
Yeah.
And I would say it surely is a cornerstone, because without management, there is no achievement, and with no management as well, there is no guarantee or security of your target goal.
Yeah.
So basically, budgeting is really key, and yeah, it is as important.
It's just as important.
Yes.
So, do you give us like an example for people, or maybe person doesn't know what budgeting is? Because there's those kind of guys you're gonna find in the market who are like, "Yo, man, I just got paid like 200 G's a month, but what am I gonna do with it? I'm just gonna go like I pay like rent for like 50 G's, right? Then the other rent, I go to the some place in Diani next month, or that sort of thing. And then by the time they come back, they got nothing left.
If you fail to budget, of course, there's always that. There's that point where whenever you're growing, or rather whenever you're starting off,
Yeah.
you're really looking at some sort of budget where you're maybe thinking of a bed sit. I talk of even somebody who has cleared campus.
Yeah.
Maybe the only thing that really this person is actually looking forward to is just some good amount for him or her to be able to pay maybe the rent,
Yeah.
and maybe just be able to manage him or herself. But look at a scenario where this individual has applied for a job, and maybe this particular person, let's call him person X, was actually looking forward to maybe earning something between 20 to 30. Why? Because maybe the particular house he's actually living in is around 7,000 to 10,000. maybe whatever he or she needs to manage in the house should be like 5,000. Then the rest should be an allowance for him, of course, because when you talk about 30,000, there's the tax and whatever.
Yeah.
So you still know, of course, there's a little bit of deduction. So at least you're comfortable with that. But this person ends up in an employment environment where the basic minimum, or rather the minimum salary is around 50 Gs.
Yeah.
So already this person is confused.
Yeah.
So from the word go, this person, from the first salary, be sure that the only thing this guy will be doing is actually YOLOing. Why? Because the extra income is way too much.
Yeah, for him.
But there is that point of...
I've also heard this story about it comes if you're not like aware enough about your finances, no matter how much money you make, and each time you're making more money, you're upgrading your lifestyle. Is the same as taking away your money, because I feel like that's one definition of that. Once those guys come out from maybe they've found that base levels where they were earning bare minimum just to keep everything going, and then they find another job, and then they're getting paid even better, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh my goodness, there's an influx of money. What am I gonna do with it? I'm a party like nobody's business. I'm gonna buy whatever I wanted. I'm gonna fill my house with whatever stuff I want, and then they find themselves with even much more trouble than they were in before. Is that the same situation?
Actually, the basic rule of money is for you. If you save me today, I will save you tomorrow. So there's no other thing. So when you look at that, that's like basically just lacking priorities. Because maybe I'm earning, or rather I'm working under this particular institution, and I'm getting paid like 20 Gs, or rather 30. Then some 2-3 months down the line, I see an advert of... where we have some opportunity, and I decide to tap into it, and by good luck, I'm in. So these guys offer me a minimum salary of around 150. Of course, if I never had plans, or rather if I don't have really priorities, like I said, you really have to have goals, you really have to have a direction, you really have to know where you should be. Like if I asked you today, where do you think you'd be in 5 years? Of course, you'd be able to just give me, however not that clear, just some imagery kidogo of where you think you should be.
In terms of finances, right?
Not really finances, even in terms of growth. And particular place in terms of career growth as an individual. Like for us, our general definition of our job is purely sales and marketing. So whenever you're talking about sales and marketing, where do you want to see yourself in the next 5 years? So of course you'll have, if you have the channels or rather the targets set in terms of achievements, by the time you're getting to the 5th year, you're double sure you should be at this particular point with this amount of emergency fund, if you're supposed to talk about an emergency fund, the current value in terms of assets and asset base. And apart from that, in terms of family, because either way, all that works hand in hand. There's no way, I don't want to be biased, kidogo, but there's no way you tell me you'd be growing on one side, on this other side you're not growing. Because me being alone, of course, I really don't have anything that is really pushing me. But for me, personally, I think also family comes true for me, because of course, your motivation starts from home, just like charity does. So that's like a thing. So whenever you have priorities, your priorities set right, you're double sure, in case this comes through, this is the next big project I would want to achieve. Like you'd find people who are so passionate about maybe vehicles. So this particular person is really into maybe the Germans.
Dang, and, I know you're one of those.
Did you have to shout it?
I know. Somebody could be out there and they'll be like, "Yo, man, I gotta get that." So they better come look for you. If you got a German and it's one of those classy things, this guy and the Germans, I'm talking about Benzes, man.
I'm really into it. But
fanatic, like super fanatic. That's the only stuff you post on social media. I've seen that.
It was a dream. It has been a dream. Yeah, and I'm glad that it did come through. Not early, not late, but in good
Damn.
time.
Set priorities,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, but you see, at the end of the day, for somebody else, it might be different.
Yeah.
Other people still believe in homes. They still believe in parcels of land. Some of them believe in bonds,
Hmm.
forex, trading, a lot of liquidity. Yeah, our priorities are way different, but you just follow your interests and your passions, and for sure you'll never go wrong. But be sure to do your due diligence whenever it comes to now going down on them, or rather getting down to them.
It's a funny thing you said, do your due diligence, because we're
Mm.
just about to dig a little bit on that.
Mm.
Maybe for you to expand your views and
Mm.
understanding in the
Mhm.
areas of, like investment strategies.
Mhm.
I know this is a complex area, but what are some common investment strategies you recommend to individuals looking to grow their wealth in the future? Maybe they're like, wow, what is that 5 year goal for me gonna look like? I really need to know the vehicle that's gonna get me there or something, just to grow my income.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So maybe my only take would be that we should actually take life by the horns, because normally we tend to assume so many things when it comes to all this.
Yeah.
So we get ourselves always trying to procrastinate. So I've gotten my hustle today, or rather I've gotten my job today, and I'm actually thinking, I'm still young, I
Yeah.
need to YOLO fast before I get down to life. And you do your thing for the next 2, 5, 10 years. Then it actually hits you when you've actually had an oops baby, and family is now coming up.
Yeah.
That's when you realize, I wish I did save some time back, because actually starting from the house, I've not even furnished. I've not. I don't even have that emergency fund. I don't know how I'm supposed to manage a family now.
Yeah.
I don't have the security of my job, because if anything happens to my job, I am as good as zero.
Down. Wiped
And
out.
yeah, and as far as we are looking at this month's salary, already last month's salary is gone and gone for good, and the previous salaries that I've already been earning. So I would actually maybe my take would actually be to like really take life seriously,
Yeah.
because talk of time, when you start early, you have the advantage of like you have the advantage of time, if I may call it. So even if it's learning a lesson, you're able to take up the challenge, or rather correct the mistake as early and as easy as you can, and still forge forward. Unlike when you start too late, because uh, assume an individual X starts saving up, or rather looking at life from a bigger point of view from around 20,
Mhm.
or rather 22, because most of us actually this generation, we are really breaking odds, because I was trying to, maybe if I made deviate kidogo,
Mhm.
I was trying to look at the life our parents lived and the current life we're living.
Yeah.
Personally, I would give an example of maybe somebody like my mom. The way she has grown, when I was being born, we were actually living in some sort of, call it a single stroke bed sitter sort of house. But of course, it has grown with time.
Yeah.
So if you look at us, by the time we were starting families, most of us are actually living in either 2 bedrooms,
Yeah.
three
For sure.
bedrooms, or even our own houses. Because I even have friends who have built their houses way early, even
Yeah.
way before they actually got families. So that different whatever scenario really tells you a lot, that we are able to hack things super early, just simply because of the mental. Because back then the mental was, you must grow from somewhere, but currently the mental is, where I'm from should be the basis of where I go.
Yeah.
Because if, for instance, my
Where,
mom,
where I'm from should never be the basis of where I go.
for some it does imply,
Uh-huh.
it does work differently, because like you'd have the advantage. Let me give a perfect example of myself. When I got my job in the same town I was born, or
Yeah.
rather the same town that my mom lives in. So there was not really a can I call it a fast? There was no emergency of me shifting out. I still worked comfortably at still living under my mom's roof.
And I think that
And
was, I think, if you, but then you're like below 25. I remember that.
way below 25
Yeah,
because I
so
started working at around 19.
yeah,
So
yeah,
call it what? Actually 20. I actually got my job comfortably at around, call it 19 actually, because I cleared high school with 18. So
yeah.
I joined the industry with around the same 18, lesser. So by the time I was hitting 19, I was already in the industry.
Yeah,
So you see, comfortably, I
back in
would.
the day, we'd see this guy with nice phones, HTC one, they just brand new,
No,
kind of
it was
thing.
actually a Sony Xperia, to be precise.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
With some killer games in there, and it was so cool. Like, yo, man, where you getting all this money?
It was just love for gadgets.
Yeah,
To
yeah.
date, I still
Nice.
love
Nice.
them, and yeah, not really a bad thing. But Sony has always
Yeah.
been a move for.
But you're building a name in the streets, from way since back in the day.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's actually, I would say, priorities because I always loved good stuff and
Yeah,
good life.
yeah,
So
yeah, definitely. This guy's got some good taste.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah,
but you just talked about good taste.
yeah.
So that means I should show. Okay, leave my wife out of this. Did I just shout?
We'll edit that part out.
So I was talking about, like I was saying now, when it comes to you having a good a good basis. Oh no, when it comes to you not getting a job and you're still conveniently comfortable, it's convenient for you in terms of comfort, location, and everything. You don't. There was no emergency for me to shift out.
Yeah.
So basically, that really gave me a ground to really be set and be sure of where I should go. Because of course, if I was living in a one bedroom that had a perfect what illustration should be having the toilet inside the house.
Yeah.
There's no, I would shift out to a house that I'd be sharing a restroom, simply because I had the time to now kujipanga and all that.
Yeah.
So comfortably it worked for me. So the same way I'm saying it works for some people, because if for instance I'm working in a town where even my parents maybe have some house somewhere, you see, conveniently I could be able to start working from that space, and now simply and slowly I could be able now to build myself and really be sure when I'm really moving out. I'm sure of where I want to go, why I want to go there, and the kind of comfort I would want to enjoy.
So during that time, when you were still you're having your work and you're still living under your parents' roof, all that time you're like building the bank, right?
Not really. Yeah, I would say partly yes, but not 100%. Of course, it's not that 100%, but slowly by
Obviously,
slowly
yes,
you're doing it.
correct.
Because the mental always is I need to start buying some items, maybe get a fridge, get a TV,
Yeah.
so that by the time I'm shifting out, I should be having all this.
Everything, yeah.
But the reality is, when we are normally shifting out, the only things we have are basically the bed and the woofer. You know, those are the basics for the men. Eh?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it still works out because at least you have now even the time to even contemplate and really be ready for this. You know, it's a whole journey. Because when you're at your parents' house, you're always looking at life like, when I get out there, I'm gonna really hack it big time. But
Yeah.
when you get into it and you're really on the ground, that's when everything seems way different.
And
now-
priorities start rearranging themselves in like real orders. and
Yes,
stuff.
yes, because now the grass that you're seeing as greener already has started
Going
changing.
brown.
Yeah, going brown. So that's
Yeah.
when it really hits you. But slowly by slowly, you're able to cope. Why? Because you didn't do it in a hurry.
Yeah.
Unlike when you do everything in a rush. I want a hustle, I get, and I need to shift out and really need to get a place. Most of the time, you really don't have that time to really even look at your advantages. You're only looking for a place maybe where you can settle for the time being before you really settle.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's basically it.
All right. So when you put it like that, it sounds like the component of risk has already been taken out.
Of course.
Because if you're building life slowly by slowly, you're not in a hurry. I think hurry is the stamp that attracts risk most of the time, because it leaves like the information that you need to collect to think yourself, to like center yourself on the way forward. when you're in a hurry, you're not able to have that time to go through that. And if you don't have that information, then you'll be doing things by guesswork. And by that, the odds are going to be against you. And so that's like a huge risk that people sometimes get to. Because I've seen this, right? So the guy definitely lives with the parents, right? And then all of a sudden decides, you know what, I'm gonna shift to a house that I really like, and maybe the house is about, well, let's talk about good money. Like if somebody's getting paid 20 G's a month, the guy wants to get into a house like that, right? And he doesn't know where the money is gonna come from and all that kind of thing. But once he gets in there, it's like, okay, my savings are gone, because you have, if you had to go into like a house for 25 G's, you have to have like 50 G's for like the first 2 months or something, right? So the installment and all that kind of thing, the leasing and all that kind of thing. And then afterwards, the guy is like struggling to now sustain the house, right? Because you have that as expenses. Maybe he's got a car. Maybe he still needs to live life.
Yeah.
And you know how that life is. When you have a car, definitely you start attracting other stuff, and you have to like go big and all that kind of stuff. But it's kind of people with huge investments that are super risky, because one of these guys super liquid. He's into forex. So the way I see his approach in the financial market isn't the same way I would use that approach in my life.
Yeah.
Because if I did and I'm not as liquid as he is, then that's not my strategy. That's his game, not somebody else's game. You try to use that, you gotta get slapped in the face by life, right?
Yeah, sure.
It's just a funny thing how risk applies to each and every one differently than the other person. Because if I can tell my story a little bit of how I moved out from home, it was just weird. So as you mentioned, when when we were meeting, I was still super into the game. And what happened was, obviously, for like the entire 1 year when I was like 19,
Yeah.
I went out and I moved into a place I wasn't paying rent. And here's was my thought: if I play this game really well, maybe I can get to the Kenya team and stuff, right?
Yeah.
We can start a club and all that kind of stuff. Maybe we can start like, what do you call this? A union where people can have payers, and then we can organize games around the country and all that kind of stuff. It was fun until again life hits you in the face, and you realize, oh my goodness, wait, what's not happening? What's not happening? Am I really in the right boat? And I was like, no, this is not my financial investment, because some of those also is kind of risky, because once you get an injury, you can't make it to the Kenya team.
Very true.
And the people who go there is like only like 1%, and out of millions of people
Yeah.
in the country.
Yeah.
So the odds were like stacked against you. So you have to like again sit down and realize, okay, so where am I gonna get that money, right? And so then it hit me, building up. And that's all I spent like 3 good years, like starting my next year at 20. I didn't even have a computer. I didn't even have a phone. I just used to rent like a computer for like 20 days every single day, and it had like Wi-Fi, and that's all I'll do every single day. Like but the thing is, the technology had already started advancing, because there was ways to build an app without, like, you can shortcut your way through it,
Yeah,
right?
true.
Instead of the old way was you code and that's all you do 24/7. I didn't have the luxury of having a computer overnight. The computer I had at home was breaking all the time. It couldn't write code. Okay, it could, but it was still a disaster. You couldn't run simulations on it. So I had to rent out a pop computer, and within a few time, that's when my money came. The app came through. I went and found somebody, and they liked the app, and then we took it to market. And within a short time, that thing, COVID-19 came. Again, I was back in the streets. Again, like it was like playing a game where you're like going zero. You think you're going up, and then all of a sudden, whoop. Now you have to lift yourself up again.
Yeah, true.
And then that's when it hit me. Yo, man, what if I can go into this world of whatever I do and keep doing it, but do it for other people? Because risk is when you take something and you don't have the full information on it.
Yeah.
Because I think my approach towards that was like creating businesses. And before you can create a business, you have to know there's some things that you cannot do by yourself,
Yeah.
right? You need a team, and the fact that I didn't have a team at the time was what made me like go down through the drain. I was like, yo, man, if I was to go back, I wouldn't even try to build a business.
Uh, there's um, there's two flip, or rather, there are two sides when it comes to the risk and you moving out, or rather you trying out something new.
Yeah,
There are two mentors. There's somebody who really wants to go in for it. Why? Because he or she doesn't really have anything motivating her, or him or her. But in this case, maybe he or she would want to shift to this particular house simply because the belief inside is that if I get to this house, yes, I'm not able to pay the rent, maybe for the first month or the second, but
Yeah.
by the third, I'm double sure I'll be able to hack it. Why? I can be able to, maybe if I may use that, kujituma, nitajituma more. Why? Because most of the jobs nowadays, they're not really tying. And that's there was something about this generation.
It's
We're not really,
we'll have to talk about that. Yeah,
yeah, we're not really depending on one income. However much I'm employed, you're still getting guys trying out stuff out here. Like I have a friend who's actually an office person, but part-time he's actually a DJ. And it
Yeah.
really works good for him. Why? Because even in his own organization, he's the only guy who gets the sound business, the entertainment business.
Yeah.
So that's a hack for him. Why? Because if you were to take him and now another colleague who was still in the same same type of job, earning the same salary, these two people won't have the same kind of life.
No.
Yeah, because this guy has some sort of security. Why? In case anything happens to this particular job, I'm here. But also on the flip side, this guy also earns double on a good month. Why? This business is actually paying right, and this other one has been good this
Yeah.
particular month. So the guy gets to carry home maybe double or triple the salary. You know?
Damn, yeah.
Plus, not forgetting, this guy ends up getting a huge or a greater market in terms of network.
Yeah.
Because you see, your network is your net worth.
Yeah.
So,
So
if
within
you're an office
time,
person,
so within time, he can be able to choose whether he wants to stay in the same job that he has,
yeah.
or he needs to transition to another bigger one because he's meeting bigger, better people.
that is actually the most the easiest way to grow. Because if you have a goal, you have a dream, and you really focus on it, at some point it actually, if all goes well, it actually ends up challenging you. I don't know whether it's right to use this, but I really love the story of somebody like Churchill.
Tell me about it.
Because without even knowing him or knowing what kind of life he lives, I love the fact that when he was starting Churchill, the only thought he had was just to have maybe a stage, some number in terms of crowd,
Yeah.
then have these two comedians, two or three, then at the end of the day he would be able to make an extra income for himself. But what happened? It got to a point that he was not even sure of whether he's in control.
Yeah.
Why? Churchill became so big, was hosting so many people, that even the kawaida grounds that he used to really enjoy having the plays, they were not as comfortable now.
Yeah.
Why? Because they required more space. They required more workmanship. They required more security.
bigger audiences.
Everything bigger, better, and
Yeah.
So even when it comes to some things, I believe if maybe somebody like Churchill was to maybe speak out, maybe the first show maybe would have costed and not an unimaginable figure, but just a
Something
kawaida figure,
super
like,
affordable.
yeah, super affordable.
Yeah.
But right now, I know if he was to set up, like there's one I went for here in Thika, and
Nice.
even by the look of things, I can remember there's this key light that they normally use at the stage, and when it was set up, it was actually so bright that we could see it as people from Thika. We used to see the light moving in the skies.
Yeah, yeah.
And everybody had every other sort of story. Oh,
Yeah.
hey, it's a plane. Oh, it's a what?
Yeah.
Little did we know that it was just a basic lighting
Equipment,
whatever equipment for just the stage.
Yeah.
So that would have told you, even the stage itself, and the equipments that they use basically really cost him. But at the end of the day, it's a goal that, or rather it's a dream that has grown beyond you,
Yeah.
and now it's actually pushing you to greater heights.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely. It's actually you bring that idea. I have two concepts right here in mind, which I have to like retract. The first one is about the one you said about Churchill and having a goal that exceeds you. You know, yeah, it says this. I'm not sure that you've read that book called Think and Grow Rich.
Not really.
It says something similar that you just said. So when you're starting out, you have an idea, and what you're trying to do is give it energy,
Yeah.
right? And then the idea grows. Then the idea becomes so big
Yeah.
that now you become the slave to the idea.
Exactly.
And when when you even pass, the idea keeps going on and growing. If you have put the right people for that idea to keep on growing.
Yeah.
So I think that's definitely what Chantil did, and it's just amazing. And then now you're talking about the same guy who had like a sound business, and he had like a regular job. And I'd say that is so super crucial, because I think having that first initial job is important.
Yeah, it is
Because you
very
can't start the second one if you don't have the first one. Or if if you have like such a job that isn't tying you, such as the sound business, entertainment kind of stuff, most times you don't want to be needy in terms of income. Sometimes people go out there, they don't have like this is my everything and all that kind of stuff. It's great, but sometimes when you need it, people can also smell that.
Plus, you see the advantage of this particular person that you're talking about,
Yeah.
is having an admin job and still having a DJ, being a DJ in part time.
Admin job meaning like IT.
Yeah, just an office job, not necessarily IT, but something to do with the office. Somewhere you're just in the office and you're just doing your thing with your machine.
Yeah.
But look at this other side, where now some people, or rather, you'll get somebody else who'll now get the DJing job and now decide to quit this other thing. But you're forgetting the main job that has actually been feeding you was the main one, not this other side hustle. Because that's where we lose track. But for this particular guy, by him being able to maybe manage his sound business and his DJing business, I believe even by the time right now, because I know he owns the sound system and the whole thing, the whole entertainment kit. Originally, I believe he just started as a DJ. So he used to go for gigs, and really accept being called, be called for such for the gigs. But now, slowly by slowly, the more you're continuing to earn, that's where you now have a goal whereby you're looking at this side hustle of mine not being a side hustle anymore, but being a business on its own.
Interesting. So when do you think is that time to make the decision when things should stop being a side hustle and should be like my main two goal that I can jituma?
Way before you even start. Because I normally say, even when you're looking for something, like let's talk of that particular car. Whenever you want to buy a car, there's no way you'd go and buy a car cash, like with the cash, then today I want to go and buy a Nissan Bluebird. I wait for me to be able to accrue the money. Then immediately I take myself into the mat. I drive all the way to maybe the nearest yard, and I'm there looking for a Bluebird. Of course, that will be a hasty decision. Or rather, that will be more of impulse buying. You see, when it comes to really getting good stuff and getting quality, you really need to take your time and really understand, why should I have this? Is it really fitting my needs? Or does it fit my pocket convenience, if I may say that? Or is it something that will come and really cost me later? And do I have the balls to do all this? If I may say that, maybe we'll see that. But if you look at the bigger picture, if you're able to do something without that point of hastiness, like we were saying, it comes in very comfortably. When we talk about investments, we really try and our minimum ground to start from is actually a basic kid, or rather a young one. This young one, he or she didn't choose to be born, right? You chose to have the newborn. So by the time the newborn is coming, you have ample time to prepare yourself. You have like 3 years for you to be sure the kid will now be going to school. assuming the 9 months.
Yeah.
So already you have like 4 years to prepare for the kid to go to school, right? You have like almost 12 years for you to be sure the kid will be going to high school.
Yeah.
You have almost 18 years for you to be sure the kid will actually go to college or university.
That's an interesting perspective.
So if you actually talk about education, I don't really see why it should be a challenge to most of us as to me, why it should be a challenge, me educating my own kid. Why? Because by the time my kid was getting born, I was already knowing, or from the first moment I knew we are pregnant, or rather we are expecting, I should be already having some ideas or some plans in place for my baby. Whether it's a boy or a girl, it doesn't really have an alarm, or rather create an alarm. But either way, I'm double sure in the next 3 years, this particular kid will be going to school. This particular kid will be needing some basics, some akipata homa pale, you're pretty sure unafaa kumpeleka hospitali.
Yeah.
Akipata candy ana uko pretty sure atataka kununuliwa.
Yeah.
Like we should be able to, we should be in a position to be able to tell all this. So by us preparing early, it becomes more of a convenience to ourselves, and even makes life way easier. Because like I was giving an example of somebody who starts saving at around 20. Give an example of me if I started saving early enough by around 19, by now I guess I should be able to be receiving I should be able to be receiving my gains by now, simply because it's been like 9 years down the line. So that means if I prepared way earlier, I should be now getting to that point of convenience where I should be having now the liquidity to invest around.
Yeah.
Talk of even 10 shillings. If today I give you 10 shillings, what would you do with it?
If you give me 10 shillings,
Yes.
In what sense? What would you want me to do? What's the goal?
I just gave you 10 shillings.
If you give me 10 shillings, okay, here's what I'll do with it. And it's my only 10 shillings.
Yeah.
I'll take 1 shillings, I'll put it aside.
Uh-huh.
And the 9 shillings, take the 4 shillings, and the 4 shillings I'll use it for expenses.
Yeah.
Right? And then the 5 shillings, I'd start something that can help generate maybe another 5 or 10 shillings.
Yeah. But if by any chance you forgot the 10 shillings, and on your way home you discovered, wait, I don't have the 10 shillings. Would there be any alarm for you to come back for the 10 shillings? Right now.
Right now?
Yeah.
You can go back.
Yes, because it's close to worthless.
Yeah.
But if it was like 10,000 shillings,
oh yeah, definitely.
you definitely come back, right?
It's worth it, because
yes.
you can even get a border that's way cheaper than that.
That's way cheaper, because that's the power of now accumulation. Because if I gave you 10 shillings today, the only maybe thing that you'd be able to buy with that 10 shillings is maybe a KDF or a Kangomu, right?
Do those still exist?
Yeah, I do. They do.
I'm a
Actually,
lollipop.
I see. Yeah, exactly. Wow. Okay. Let me know. Just go to that side. But
Okay.
I didn't think the codes allow men to take lollipops, right?
You can buy one and then sell it. Kids. And then you have you buy one at 10, you sell it at 20.
Yeah.
So you got 20 shillings.
Yeah, if you insist. So, but that 10 shilling, if I'm able to give you the 10 shilling for a whole week, that makes it 70. That makes it maybe money enough to pay for a boda, right?
Yeah.
You can also maybe purchase maybe even supper for somebody somewhere, right? Because skumas are 20, avocado are 20, because avocado is key apple before you buy the kitungu and everything. So that could be supper for somebody or dinner for somebody. Give it for 2 weeks. That will be around 140. That will be credit for somebody, right? Or rather, it will be transport for somebody. Give it for a whole month. That will be now 300. That will be breakfast and dinner for somebody.
So
Top
when
of a whole year.
300 or 280.
Depends with the number of days, because we have 31, between 28 and 31.
I just needed to be sure so that there wasn't compounding math down in between.
Okay. So if you talk of a whole year, that will be around 3,000 shillings. That is rent for somebody. So the power of accumulation simply means that cash shilling that you're really assuming today might be your powerful tool tomorrow.
Yeah.
So if you actually look at that scenario, you'll now stop thinking of starting tomorrow and starting today. because investment is simply it's as simple as you think of it, or rather as you can take it. You start lesser and grow bigger, and you start from your point of convenience. If today I'm earning 10,000 shillings, I can be able to set aside 1,000 shillings or 1,000 shilling comfortably, or shillings comfortably. Why? Because that's like 10% of what I'm earning.
Yeah.
But if I'm earning 100,000 today, comfortably I'll be able to set around 10,000 to
Gs, yeah.
20,000, because it should be 10 to 20% your investment allowance. So basically, 10,000 should be doing something, 1,000 should be doing something, because the same 1,000 shillings in a year, that's 12,000. It will come back to you. You may be able to pay your rent comfortably without you tapping onto the current salary.
So when you say, so saving isn't necessarily saving, it's investing in your future self,
Just
and that
setting aside.
and that brings us to like the first three important thing that you say. There was a current state, there was an emergency, and then there's tomorrow's goal. So you're putting aside a 10-20%. That's an investment for your tomorrow.
Yes, definitely.
When you definitely need it.
Yes, because actually, if you can even take an example of the kawaida gadgets that we use. If today anything happened to your phone, of course by tomorrow you need another phone.
Correct.
Where do you get the money?
If I got it at the bank, that's where it is.
Exactly. That means if you had started saving earlier, or rather you had set aside something for yourself,
Yeah.
for an emergency or just for tomorrow, something that that is not very clear.
It's a funny thing you bring that topic, because I had somebody else's put it just a little bit differently, but they said compare saving like you being like a mason, right? Person who builds with stone.
Yeah.
The first day you're walking by, they lay the first brick, right? The first brick is there, and then they lay another on top of the other, and then another on top of the other. Every single day, if they keep on laying a brick, within a short period of time, maybe a year's time, you're gonna come back and you're gonna see a huge wall.
Yeah.
But that first brick is still laying down there.
Yeah.
So it's like, yo, it's achievable if you're not in a rush. Yeah. So I think it's the same situation. Now let's talk about management. Obviously, debt. There's always a debate about debt, good, bad debt, right? What's your opinion on good and bad debt?
Good and bad debt. I don't know. My take, I guess it all depends on the risk appetite.
Yeah.
And I would simply boil down to the basic, or the nearest that we have, which is actually in our phones. The Fuliza, the Mshwaris of this world, of today. And my take is purely positive, as long as you're taking it up for a positive outcome, or for a positive use. Well and good. I'm a fan of debt myself. So, because actually, if you have the advantage of you have the convenience of using other people's money to grow, why not? Because most of the big industries use that. Talk of the banks, talk of the financials in general. They use other people's money to be able to grow. So why should you not?
Speaking about how they use other people's money, what is the process around that? How do they work in Kenya?
So let me just maybe I would place this as easy as it should be.
Yeah.
Today I have like 100,000 and I really want to save.
Yeah.
So I take it to the bank. Immediately I leave with a slip, right?
Correct.
The money is in the bank. So what happens to my money? I don't know, right? But somebody else will pop in with a problem, who wants actually 100,000. Whose 100,000 will he get?
The one that's already there that you gave them.
Of course. So that's basically it. And they'll be able to get interest out of it. And when you want your money, they'll actually still avail the money for you. Because anyway, it's your money.
Yeah.
So,
but I hear you have to have a certain. They can only afford a certain percentage.
No, it depends.
Based on how much you've kept before.
Yeah, it depends with the financial or the financial institution in general and their terms, because all are different. Terms are different. Because like for a SACCO, for you to get like a loan or a loan out of them, or rather from them, you have to have a certain percentage which they have to multiply for you to get a maximum figure. They multiply your deposits, or rather what you have inside there, or rather with them, by 3, or some circles are doing 5.
Mhm.
When it comes to the banks, some of them the loans are dependent on your salary and your income, so, or the transactions that you normally do.
That's their security,
Yeah, that's
right?
their security.
Right, have you heard about a concept called fractional reserve
Fractional reserve.
when it comes
Not
to
really.
banks?
Mm-hmm.
Like every single time you put money in the bank, the bank is gonna keep 10%.
But it should be optional, right?
No, no, this is what happens like behind the scenes.
Uh-huh.
Not you.
Mm-hmm.
The once you take your money to the bank, like I give the bank 100 Gs,
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna take all that money.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna keep 10 Gs,
Mhm.
and then they're gonna give 90 away.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why they do this is that's why they called a fractional reserve system, right? And this is the same style that's used by most banks around the world. I've studied, foreign banks a little bit. And that's why I was curious about the Kenyan banks and all that kind of stuff. But mostly because it's centralized, that's how it works. So the fractional reserve means once they have like that 10%, then that's helping them not be able to fall out because again they handle a lot of volume. They
Yeah,
have a
yeah.
lot of people. So if you save a lot of money in the bank, you can also break it by asking a lot of it. Like down this year, there was a bank in Silicon Valley that collapsed, that was closed. Like this, it was a top 100 bank that closed down. Why? Because people asked their money,
Yeah, yeah.
and it was huge money. So definitely the bank could, they didn't have in the 10%, they didn't have that, and so what did they have to do? They had to tell them, hey, we're bankrupt.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's kind of weird, but it's also kind of nice because I also hear that banks once they also take the money, they do take that money behind the doors and reinvest it.
Definitely. It's an okay. It's always investment for them because
Oh,
even by
yeah.
the time they're giving you a loan, that's investment for them.
What
So
about other investments other than giving out loans? Do they have anything like that in particular?
I'm not really. Apart from
Apart from like
yeah,
let's say like
definitely
giving out
they
loans,
definitely have.
like
Talk of even the unit trusts.
yeah, unit trust,
Talk
yeah.
of even the unit trust in general, which now comprises of the money market, bonds, equities, which are basically now 50-50 when it comes to growth and money market. All that basically they have because that's why they trade.
Yeah.
And when they're trading, of course, there's business because
And-
even
And it's kind of weird because I think the biggest war there is on the planet right now is now the decentralized banking system and now the decentralized banking system. Now this old centralized way is obviously regulated. The banks, the government are uniform with this because that's how the entire system is built.
Yeah.
And then now comes the decentralization where people say, you know what, we don't want to use the money anymore. Let's go digital currencies and all that kind of stuff. But I think that's a topic for another day. Today, let's focus on now talking about. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
We're talking about debt, right? So a lot of people in the country have a lot of debt, right? Some strategies for effective managing and reducing different types of debt, such as credit card debt. That stuff exists, right?
Yeah.
And student loans when they're going out to the job market. What's your take on that?
I would still base it back to the priorities because why was I taking this amount of this cash? Like I had, I would give a perfect one. I had this friend of mine who, when she joined campus,
Yeah.
the mom didn't give the ID.
What?
Yeah, this particular person was not given the ID simply because the parent didn't want the daughter to take up a student loan. But for some people, it is a necessity, you know.
Man, you gotta introduce me to those parents.
Yeah, because if you look at some people, it is necessary, and it really comes true for them because they did study fully with that and with that allowance, and they were and they're now comfortable even paying, and they're easy. Life is just way too good for them, you know.
Yeah.
Because we have different kinds of people, we have different kinds of classes, but I would still boil it down back to now preparation and the management, like I was saying. Because if I was to give a perfect illustration, there are normally three main pillars in finance. And the main pillars are, the first one is actually wealth creation. The second one is wealth management. Then the last one is wealth distribution. Those three pillars are very, they're just self-explanatory. They can simply expound on themselves, even by the terms, basic terms.
Except the last one, wealth distribution. Does that might mean like giving
Basically,
out?
yes, that is as simple as it is.
Oh,
So
speaking
if
about
you look
yeah.
at life and the different stages that we are in, we talk of wealth creation. That is basically our stage, or any other person who's just trying to start out on life.
Yeah.
And by this, I basically mean when you're starting out, do you have an income? Do you have anything with you? That is now what you use to get more, or to create more, or to multiply. Then from there, when it comes to management, what I have, should anything happen to me, I shouldn't go any lesser. And that is now where the insurance concept comes in. Why? Because I have a car. Why should I insure it under a third party? I should actually have it under comprehensive insurance. Why? What is the main purpose of insurance? In case anything happens to me today, or rather to my car today, they'll be able to return me back to the same level that I was. So talk of an instance where I'm driving a what? A Mercedes. A Mercedes E240, maybe worth an E250 currently, maybe worth around 3 million.
Yeah.
So in case anything happens to that car, and I basically mean an accident and anything accidental, it basically means the insurance company will take the liability, and by them taking the liability, it basically means I'll either get paid back my car, where they'll get the salvage and they'll give me the same amount to go back to the market and still purchase the same car, or repair my car if it is repairable, right? So that's management. Why? Because I didn't have to go back to my pocket and dig in more for me to repair my car, right?
Yeah.
Then the last stage is purely now distribution. This is where now your granny, or your grannies, or your mom or dad gets to that point and tells you, you see that piece of land, I would want you to use it. That's now distribution. Why? Because back then, when he or she was purchasing it, he didn't really have that clear picture of you, but at least knew it would be good to have an asset. But now that he's a bit challenged in terms of productivity, he's double sure by him or her giving it to you, you'd be in a better ground to utilize it right and have it work for you, or rather create more for you easily as compared to him or her, right?
Yeah.
So that's distribution. So by wealth creation, we go back to the first pillar. By wealth creation is basically the illustration I had for the 10 shilling. So I have 10 shillings today. Instead of spending it and I don't really have a need for it, why don't I keep it aside, so that even if tomorrow I get another 10 shillings, I'll be having 20. By the time it's getting to maybe 100 or 200, I can be able to do something tangible. Because remember, even with liquidity, you're able to think about something bigger and better as compared to when you have lesser liquidity. Talk of yourself having what? Having 1,000 today, and another person having 100,000 today. Those two people, the thoughts cannot be the same. Why? Because this 100,000 can be able even to accommodate maybe transport to go and do some research. This 1,000 guy, maybe when it comes to the 1,000, the only big thing he can really look at is maybe something that is available easily. Easily available. So
makes sense. Makes a lot of sense when it comes to wealth creation and stuff.
Yes. So we were on the debt point.
Yeah.
So by failing to create, that's why we get ourselves into debt.
Failing to create income.
Yes, simply because if I'm earning right and I'm spending wrongly, basically means there'll be some ripple effects up on belly. So by having that negative challenge will of course lead you to maybe going for debts or bad debts. Or if you're earning right, spending right, at least if you're saving enough and you have some tangible amount, you might get yourself getting into debt, but positive debt. Why? Because you might be having that a million bob today, and you'd maybe want to purchase a vehicle, a PSV, maybe just to use it for PSV purposes, a matatu. So you can be able to go and deposit that 1 million bob today and get a top up from the bank or the institution, and you can be able to have the matatu working for you and paying the loan, and as well giving you
Some income.
yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
makes sense. Makes sense. So, summarize on the debt thing. So it's all about how you create
Yeah,
your income.
yeah, definitely.
If you have that, then it's a matter of having the income that can be able to, if you have debt, it can be able to repay that in a way that's gonna not debt. It's either good whether it can repay itself. It's bad if it's just debt that didn't repay itself.
Very, very true.
All right. Right, let's now go to the other thing. Like you said, wealth distribution, that's when somebody, maybe a Mefika Pala in the 80s, probably they're no longer productive and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, life, we're all going to reach that point,
Very true.
at least for now, but there's some people who get, you ever heard about that? There's
What?
this therapy they're doing. It's called, okay, the reason why
They
we
preserve you
age.
for 100 years.
No, it's not preservative. The reason why we age
Uh-huh.
is because that story in the Bible written about the Tower of Babel and then the God came from where he came. And then people are like, yo, man, from today on, I don't want you guys doing this. So you stay until 120 years, right? But because of how we're eating, definitely 80, 90, less than that, right? Significantly less. So people now have also discovered, because technology is definitely the language of God,
Yeah.
they've discovered how to progress their own life, right? So they take there's some caps on the basis of our telomeres, right? Some things in our body. And if you can cap that thing out, then you can definitely live longer like a tortoise.
But
It's gonna be
okay,
fun. It's
there's a
gonna
whole
be
lot.
fun,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. Let us leave that for the scientists. But, I believe
It's
the
gonna
body
be-
is just a combination of cells, or cells put, cells put in together, right?
Yeah.
So, anyway, maybe let's leave that.
That's what this guy is good for what he does, man. Because what he does is focus on money.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
let's talk about retirement. Retirement planning is a long-term endeavor, right? So how can someone determine their retirement goals and create a plan to achieve them?
How early would you want to retire?
40?
40.
Maybe 35.
And what
Most
would you-
likely 35.
What would you want to have achieved? Or what should be your signal? Or rather, what should be that thing that when you achieve that, you'll be double sure, anyway, it's time for me to retire?
Well, okay, for me to retire at that age, I gotta make sure that I'm making 5 times the president's income when I sleep.
Aha. And
Maybe even 10. 100.
100 times, right?
Yeah.
So, what's your definition of retirement?
So my definition of retirement is when I'm no longer able to work actively to be able to sustain that income. Like I don't have a need for work, but I gotta work so that I can, definitely fulfill my desires.
So, does it mean by you retiring, does it mean you staying at home, or does it mean you traveling, or does it
Traveling,
mean you
yeah.
overseeing?
Traveling, obviously, when I retire, I definitely want to travel the world, right? I want to give myself permission to travel the world, invest in some crazy ass cars, definitely give me a yacht, something like that. Do crazy stuff, like that's my definition of retirement.
Yeah, because now it basically boils down to you. Because, like I said, when you should actually take life as serious as it should be. Because retirement is actually something that you should start working on immediately. You start working, and I mean as early as 18 if you're already making income. Why? Because if you start like most of us really depend on something we call a retirement plan, or rather retirement scheme, but in most cases it ends up zoning us to a particular level,
Yeah.
or rather zoning us to a particular cluster. And by this I will say simply because if today I started saving and investing for me in the future on the basis of retirement, and I actually subjected my investments to gaining and not how can I place this, if I was to start saving for my retirement today, and I did subject my cash, or rather to my set aside income, to income generating platforms, but not taxed. That is the point. It doesn't, okay, from the income, yes, of course, as it generates, it's getting taxed, but not a scheme whereby pale mwisho I'm supposed to be taxed. And by this, I will just go directly to the retirement schemes that we normally have. Normally, they are employment based.
Like what kind of schemes are there for retirement?
Like I would use the simplest, where when you get employed, your employer has a plan for the employees, whereby you either go private or through the government, and then you're supposed to be deducted some amount of money for the next period that you'll be working, or for the period that you'll be working for. Then at the end, you're supposed to get all that amount together. Then it will serve as a retirement package for yourself.
Got an example for some of this?
We have the
government or
the
private?
NSSF. We have the NSSF, and also insurance does offer. But look at it from this point of view. If today I'm able to set aside like 10,000, or maybe my salary allows me to save like 10,000, or rather set aside like 10,000. 10,000. If you look at it in like 10 years, like assume you've started working from around 25 all the way to around 50. That's around how many years?
That's another 25 years.
Yes, another 25 years. So that basically that means it's around 50. No, it's supposed to be 60. So it should be 35. So if you save for around 35 years, how much should that be?
That's 15 years.
Yeah, no, it should be 35. That is, if you're able to set aside for, let me just a minute.
Wait, you ask if you stop at 50 but you start at 35.
No, you start at 25 but end at 60.
Oh, if you
saving
60.
up. So that will be 10,000 times 12 months, right? That's 120. 10 times 35 years. That will be around 4.2 million, right?
Right.
Yeah. So if you're able to save like 4.2 million in like 35 years, so assuming even the interest, my biggest challenge when it comes to thinking about all these retirement schemes is simply because we still end up getting taxed. Yet it should be my retirement package. So by it being taxed, of course, it's a law. I don't know. I don't want to get into the nitties. But
Any loopholes on that?
I don't know. It's for us. It's for you to see. I don't know.
Or maybe you want to discuss that after the camera.
Yeah. But why should I really rely on that?
Yeah.
Remember, this is like 4.2 million, assuming even the interest. So I've been given 4.2 million for me to be able to manage that for the next lifetime.
Which is going to be like maybe 15, 20, or God knows how long you're going to live.
It could be even one day.
Yeah, it could be one day.
Because if I've never touched such an amount, what is the guarantee that this amount will be able to last me for the next 20, 30 years?
Zero.
That is the possibility. Look at it from this other side, where I'm 20 and I've been given, instead of like the illustration we had earlier, I was earning 20,000, then all of a sudden my salary has been increased to 150. What happens to the money?
Misuse.
Yes, the first thing that will come to my head will be those two flashy kind of things. So if I really wanted a good phone, pop, I have it. And maybe nowadays, because we have phones that are going all the way to 250,000 plus more, it basically means that money, the security of that money, even having it for the next 5 days is close to impossible, right?
Yeah.
So then you're really subjecting giving this particular person, this particular retiree, this 5 million or this 4.2 million for him or her to be able to depend on that particular amount of money for the next lifetime. This particular individual, of course, if it's somebody who has been setting aside comfortably and really depending on it, this is somebody maybe in one way or another maybe hajajenga. So what will be the first thought?
Land and house.
And nowadays we even have houses that are being built, or we have companies that are coming up, and they are actually even doing off-plan houses.
Yeah.
And it's a perfect idea. But for a retiree, I don't think you really have the time or the convenience to try out such.
Yeah.
Why? Because by the time I know, I've not really been into building myself, but of course I know when you're starting such a journey, you should be sure you really have to be fully on it. Otherwise,
yeah.
you leave it all hanging, and that's why we have some constructions which looked very potential, but to date bado zinamea miti.
Yeah.
Unapata building imemea mti na iko second floor, and you're there wondering, wait, hata roots zinatoa wapi maji, you know?
Yeah.
So basically, it's a whole pretty. It's a whole what? It's a whole thing to try and really understand. But for me, on the basis of you preparing for retirement, I believe it should be a continuous journey all the way from the start, and you should not like have all your eggs in one basket. You should like have 3 to 4 plans, whereby you have your emergency fund, you have your retirement plan in place, and you still have your investments in place. Like
You said 4, those are just 3. You have the emergency funds, you have the retirement, and you have your
your
investments.
assets. Yeah, investments and assets as well, because actually
So the 4th one is income.
yeah, of course,
If you can be able to create that after
create an income, and we call it actually the residual income.
Uh-huh.
Yes. So as long as you can be able to have all that in line, whereby if today I'm working for an institution, I could be able to have another side hustle somewhere where I don't even have to appear for it to make money for me. A perfect example should be a shop, or just the least in terms of giving, just like a simple shop where you'd be giving the necessities, or rather the basics, maziwa, mkate, something that you'd double sure, or clothes. Kituko sure is forever getting consumed or being bought, and that at least will create some residual income for you. Any extras that you get, you can purchase land, you can purchase property, you can just have something in place just as a side.
Any extras you got, you can purchase land. It's a funny thing you said. Any extras you got, you can purchase land and stuff. You know, it's funny thing that most people the first thing once they have money, as you said, I've seen this with a bunch of people, especially the young guys, maybe below 30 and that kind of stuff. The moment you land, you've already saved, right? You have, let's say, 3 mics in the bank, maybe, that kind of money, maybe 5 and all kind of stuff. And then the first thing you do is you move into a really nice house, definitely, right? It's not yours, it's just rental. And then you don't have a family, and boom, you get a car. Or maybe you just buy something out of the blue that you think it's gonna help you. It's just there to make you feel good, Because sometimes I don't think, unless you're really a car fanatic, for me, I'm not a car fanatic, right? I don't see a need for having a car. I could have a car, but dude, I don't care about cars at this stage, at this my life. But do you think there's something, the way you just said it, if you have extras, you can get the land and all that kind of stuff. So that means you should be focused so much on building your income, making it grow as much as you can, so that when you have so much money, your incomes are generating, then you can do whatever you want, purchase that land, without feeling the pain of like, hey, I don't have any more money in the bank.
That should be over and above. The problem is out here we have a lot of misconceptions that I'll give of my latest experience in terms of clientele-based conversations, and mine was through this friend. It was actually a client who was actually a friend.
Yeah.
So this particular person has been working and has a very nice job and has been saving up slowly, kidogo kidogo, by the side. So this person has been able to accumulate like 500 Gs. So the first time that we were actually talking, and it actually hit me, was that he was actually in search of, he actually wanted to have a car, because of where he works, and 2, because of the hustle he goes through whenever he's trying to look for transport. They are really
cars
they're
at the
really
time.
matatus to that side. So normally he's forced to take up a motorbike. On the other hand, this particular person also wanted a piece of land.
Mhm.
But I had to really dig down and deeper and really try to understand how much this person really had in terms of disposal. So this person was telling me he has been saving for some time, and he had like 500 G's in the account, and that's all he wanted to spend. But look at these two different things. This particular person wants a piece of land and also wants a car.
Okay.
I don't know whether that's
With 500 G's.
with 500 G's. So what does that tell you? By the time this person either gets either, he or she will be left with nothing
Yeah.
in terms of any amount that is
Yeah.
on the side without depending on the salary. So one of the misconceptions, back to now my point, was is today's that if I want to invest and invest right, I must have a piece of land. I must purchase a piece of land that is somewhere not somewhere that is not very accessible right now. Then as time goes by, and the whatever the everything is barabaras in Ajengwa and all that, my land will be somehow accessible. Then now I can be able to sell it off. Remember, it works right for some, and perfectly good for our parents. It worked perfect, but look at it from this point of view. In case I have an emergency today, and by an emergency, I don't mean the basic homers and the basic hospital, whatever's I need, but I need a large sum amount, and I actually want an amount that to be able to go for something that I'm sure can be able to get me some extra income. Maybe something that is being sold or is being auctioned on a very good deal, or maybe some sort of business that really needs income there, and then for me to be able to start earning from it. If you actually are depending on this particular land, that you will sell it and get some income. One, when you're trying to get a loan using a piece of land, or rather using a title, it takes like a month plus. It is not even days, a month plus. If you really want to sell the piece of land right now,
Yeah.
and have the cash immediately, most or rather the first question that will always be asked by either the broker or the potential buyer: why are you selling?
Yeah.
So
Motivation, motivated seller.
yes. So if of course they get to know that you really need the cash there,
You're
then
needy for the cash.
yes, of course they won't buy it at your value. They will buy from their own convenience,
Which is gonna be slightly lower
not
than
even slightly lower, might even be way lower
yeah.
than you expect, or maybe way lower than you even bought it.
Yeah.
Because that will be more of, like it will be more of an emergency for you.
And it's a funny thing you brought that up. And sometimes it happens like this as well. People, they do whatever they can. They get some loans, or maybe they get a property, right?
Yes.
And then through that property, they like maximize loans on that, and then they can't close, and then they can't pay it.
Yeah.
And since they can't pay it, they think the best way to go about it is to sell it.
Yeah.
And so they look for these dealers and all that kind of stuff. Again, they ask the question, why are you selling it?
Why are you selling it?
And it's like, yo, man, I'm facing foreclosure,
Yeah.
right? And then the guy's like, okay, so with the what the property is at, they're giving way less. And I was like, surprisingly, there's people who make money out of this.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, a broker is there to make money as well. So he wants to buy the piece of land so that he can sell at a higher figure, or rather just for him to have that good
margin.
markup.
Yeah.
So
At his convenience.
yes, that is his convenience. So at the end of the day, there's no way he'll be able to buy from your own price.
Yeah.
So that is one of the challenges that are out here. Everybody thinks by purchasing land you're winning. For me, I say
Yeah.
if you feel like you're earning right, you're spending right, you're saving right, any extras now you can be able to risk that. Because
Wow.
remember, even when you're looking at all this, it is more of a 50-50 kind of it's more of a 50-50 kind of thing. So you're just there trying your ways out,
Yeah.
So it should be a perfect way to think around it. But also, I talk about risk. If you think you're potentially good to really jungle that amount that you have,
Yeah.
simply because you know you can still be able to get the same amount tomorrow or maybe in the next hour easily, why not go for it?
Yeah.
So it should be, if you're really thinking of now retirement as a base, it is simply what you make it. So, and the earlier you start, the better
The
it
better.
is. Yeah.
Well, speaking about early when it comes to retirement, so that means the person who starts early on, let's say maybe in their very early 20s, it's going to be way better off than the person who starts in their mid or, late 20s and that sort of thing.
Yeah, whenever you're thinking of investment, or rather, yeah, investment, because basically even retirement is investing for your retirement. Whenever you're thinking about investment, you either have the time
Yeah.
or the money. It's either of the two, no extra, no less. You either have the time. I start saving at 19 and I will save all the way to talk of 60. Or I start saving at 40, but I have the money to be able to hit my target. So if I'm saving 10,000 from 19 all the way to 60, that is good money, at the end of it. But if I'm saving 200,000 from 40 all the way to 60, this individual will still have
Yeah.
the good of it.
So again, it boils down to somebody's capability
Yes.
and long-term goal,
Yeah, and also discipline.
the discipline.
The
Yeah.
discipline is core.
But I also think that once you have that long-term goal locked in, the discipline shouldn't be hard. Because it's a matter of choosing, hey man, do I want to get there and be broke? And, it's just being point blank and clear.
Okay, discipline is really key. I would place it as easy as I have 10,000 shillings. Oh, let me bring this more closer.
Yeah.
We always look forward to Christmas, right?
Yes.
So nowadays, like personally, even we have a plan in the circle whereby every other month I'm supposed to be deducted some amount of money, which I'm supposed to be given at the end of the year or towards the end of the year. Call it around November end or December-ish. So if I've been able to save that cash well, by the time I'm starting to save, my idea is Christmas. By the time we're getting to media, my idea could have changed maybe to some tour or road trip to somewhere.
Yeah.
By the time I'm getting to that December, if today I get that amount and the same day my phone starts having some little issues, of course that tells you the money won't.
That's your new motivation.
Yes, that's my new motivation, of course.
But
So-
again, it depends. Let's assume it depends. I think, okay, here's what I mean by the goal fuel your discipline,
Yeah.
right? So you have this goal. And then you ask yourself, why? What is my reason for keeping this money? Am I keeping this money because, hey, man, I want to leave this job, so I want to start a side income? That's going to be way, way motivational.
Yeah.
Even if your phone breaks, you're going to be like, yeah, I don't want to go for like a 45 or plus kind of phone. I can stick with maybe a 10,000, 15,000 phone that I can, slowly afford and still not like, and still I'm going to get to the closing line, the closing line and all that kind of stuff. So that's why I'm saying, like, if your goal is super set and it's clear enough and you have the reason why you want it, it's so clear about why you want it, the discipline is not gonna be a tough choice. But I think for you guys who are selling these things, which is super amazing, again, people don't understand that for you to have something that is super, super, so close to you, you have to see it in a way that it's so clear. Every single time you wake up, you can see it. Every single time you sleep, you can see it. Every single time you have pain, it reminds you of the goal.
Yeah.
Right? My motivation to move out wasn't because I was comfortable at my mother's place. In fact, I didn't stay at my mom's place because my parents' house was, and I'm going to say this on camera, it was so tiny. It couldn't afford me with my big balls at the time. Like, sometimes you have to grow out as a man, right?
Yeah,
So they put me in a place where I was sharing the room with some other people, and within time, it started coming new people that I really hated because I was starting to grow, right? And they hated my guts because they the way we were going at life, it wasn't the same stuff. Again, I was kind of that person who was a high risk, kind of stuff. Taking building apps, you don't have the money, you're just gonna go out there. It's don't try that. I wouldn't recommend, but yeah, you can try if you want to. Again, by the time this guy could give me so much pain, I was like, yo, man, this is my next move. I gotta figure out how to be independent in a way that I can be able to think for myself every single day, not be disturbed. Right, I can be able to write things down and not be afraid to leave the book open or that sort of thing. So that was my motivation. Right, my why was being able to have my own independent thinking, and that's what catapulted me to like getting that own space that looked a certain way, and it had to be precise at some place, because again, my why was, if I'm not able to, if this is my workspace and my home is just nearby, then I don't need a car, because I can use the money I can get from a car to invest in other stuff in my businesses that can be able to like grow me in other ways. So again, as you said, it's like having that goal from the beginning, right? It depends with other people. My motivation for I'm not super impressed with things as much as new experiences in terms of what I do with the money and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, you're saying, have I supported my case about why discipline is a result of focused goal?
Actually, I would base it more of a sacrifices.
Yeah,
Because if you really want to test your interests, wait until you really achieve it. Because the reason as to why you really invested in this is purely because it is a simple sacrifice that you'll do today, but tomorrow you'll be able to have everything, or rather that particular thing that you'd want comfortably. It wouldn't be a convenience, or rather something easy for you to have had the car, and yet your line of income is not as straight as well. Yeah, it's not as straight. But until you well stable on that particular side, that's when you can be able to invest. The
Yeah.
same way I'm saying, when it comes to investments, you have your investments right, have your accounts right in terms of income.
but again, I have friends like me, right?
Yeah.
The best thing is they started a little bit early,
Yeah.
right? Let's say 2 3 years down the line. By the time I was starting out 20, they was already making money.
Yeah.
Right now they're living in way bigger houses than I am. They're driving way better cars at this particular time. Same age as mine, right? Don't forget that. But again, I look at the motivation of why they did that. And if I think if you can take a person to each another person's house, I think the motivation is written by everything they have.
But you see, like you said, people are different.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you might be having your priorities right, simply because you're really focusing on the foundation and not on the end result. It's not all about what other people see, but it's all about what you feel is right, and
Yeah.
your comfort in terms of even the security. Because like I said, even if you need security for your growth, why don't you need security for what you have? Like a perfect whatever a perfect illustration to place would be, if today anything happens to your income, of course you're doomed, right?
Me? No.
Simply because you're the one who started it.
Yeah.
You can be able to still go back to
Yeah.
level zero and start over, but look at a person who's employed. If anything happens to the income, he or she will have to go back to the zero, then start all over again, unless you have a side hustle that is also working perfectly,
Yeah.
which in most cases that is exactly what happens to most people. I even have a friend who has done that. Gets his income right, gets his books right, everything. He really invests in his side hustle, then immediately starts speaking, resigns, and focuses on it.
Yeah.
And when you give it the time, of course, you'll be able to win.
Yeah.
And comfortably, people are winning, So that is the main thing. So, yeah, maybe it's a plus for you, because anyway, you've been able to back up your point. And on the other hand, that's based on you. Because for somebody else, the car would have been a priority.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't blame them. Because
No.
anyway, like for somebody who has interest in cars, of course the priority is a car.
It's a guy, definitely. Yeah.
Because I even have a friend who really is into, what do they call it? automotive what engineering.
Dealership.
Yeah, whatever the automotive engineering. That's
Yeah.
the Umekan.
Mechanical engineering.
Yes. So this particular person also has his car. Well put. Yani, he doesn't even have to tell you he's a mech, or rather
Yeah.
he's into cars. Even from the opening of the bonnet, he's those kind of guys who would always say, "I wish gari zingekuwa na bonnet," so
Yeah.
that people can see how good and
The
clean
engine,
this
the
this
machine
place
has.
is. Yes, and you see, it's not a new car; it's an old car, and he has been able to polish it up and in his own way.
And I think that's the basis of investment.
Yes, that is
Because
actually investing.
if that guy follows that route,
Yes.
and is he selling cars?
Yes, and no, he makes cars, but as well, now you see the dream is actually to make cars and modify cars.
Yeah.
But now what he ends up doing, once he modifies and a friend asks for a ride, the friend doesn't return, of course, the car. He only asks for the price after he has gone with the car. Hey boss, hii gari ulisema ni pesa ngapi? And you see, originally the intention wasn't to sell. It was just to have the car perfect image for him.
Yeah.
So what happens? He ends up selling, buys another one,
Yeah.
starts from level
Yeah,
0.
yeah.
So that's also more of a side hustle for him, because his main interest is actually modifying.
Yeah.
But if you have, if you really want to buy, and you're the one asking me,
Yeah,
now
why not?
that basically means you buy at my price.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
definitely.
actually have a friend who also does paint jobs.
Yeah.
And really takes cars from the ground, like all messy cars, pimps them up, also paints them up, and really makes them right.
Yeah.
And the two instances I've really asked him about the previous cars I had seen.
Yeah.
His only comment is, some guy took it up after he brought his for me to make, and then he decided to buy it. And you see, that's also more of a side hustle for you. So
Yeah.
it's a plus.
Yeah, I think that's the only way. If you cannot, I mean, the most people who are doomed is people who have like unemployment
Yeah.
and they don't have like a hobby
Mm-hmm.
that they can look forward maybe someday making like a full time that can make them money.
Yeah.
I think the best place to make money is doing whatever you really like, or something you're really good at, something that you're not afraid of putting like 10 hours a day to just make it spectacular as much as you can.
True.
Well, fantastic. Let's talk about emergency funds and insurance, man. We're about to talk about emergency funds and insurance, as you'd mentioned, right? So about insurance, individual assesses their insurance, the needs, and how to ensure they're adequately protected in case of unexpected events. So let's assume a guy just came into the market, doesn't understand anything about insurances, and let me ask you this. Do you mostly focus with people who have employment or people who don't have employment, but they're making money through their self-employed ventures?
The main, we actually look at a very general view of anybody who has a target, a goal, a dream, and that basically boils down to anyone and everyone. And by this, I basically want to place a case scenario for you to be able to understand. I was talking about an education plan for your kid.
Yeah.
So simply because you have all the time, and you of course know this particular kid will be able to go to high school, primary, will be able to go to college or university, will be able to now do education. So of course it's your obligation, or rather it's the kid's right for him to go through the system through you, or by you doing everything necessary to push that. But why insurance? Why the insurance aspect here comes in from this point of view, where now you're really thinking of the security. So I have my daughter who's 4 months old.
Congrats.
So, thank you, bro. But this daughter of mine, by now, I'm double sure she does not know who she is, or why she's there, or what she's doing. All she knows is just rights.
Yeah.
She's hungry. She wants to
Eat.
get something. She she has pooped, she wants to be changed. It's time to sleep, she wants to sleep. It's time to play, she wants to play, she doesn't want to sleep. Those are two different, you know, they're just worlds different. All she knows right now are the rights. But as slowly as she grows, she'll be able to understand so many things. So the same way, you should be able to understand your key role when it comes to all this. So when you're really in for parenthood and you're perfectly ready for all this, and you're really sure you have all the plans right, what is that one thing that would really deter you from not achieving it?
Maybe health, disasters.
Yes, maybe call it critical illness, right?
Yeah.
Call it death, because that is the ultimatum. If anything happens to you, God forbid, you don't know what happens to your daughter.
Yeah, man.
Yes, disability as well also bring in plays a key whatever in that, because now if you're disabled, what happens? What next? Of course, if you're working, if for instance my day job, or rather my kind of day when I'm working, is for me to wake up, go find clients, talk to them, and have them understand the interest on the, or rather the advantages of this, and sign up if need be. That is in most cases once they've been able to buy the idea. So after all that, so if anything happens to me, God forbid, and I become disabled, so I cannot be able to run my day job. So what happens to me?
You start a new life.
How do I start a new life? Am I supposed to just stay in the house? Where will I get income? Remember, I have a family.
Yeah.
I have a daughter, or maybe I'll be having more in some days to come, or some years to come. So basically, that's where now insurance comes in. You can be able to save anywhere, including even under your own mattress. People do that. I don't know whether they do to date, but people
Yeah.
still do that, right?
Yeah.
People still have cash. But the insurance comes in whereby you are able to buy your dream through them. You go secure the education of this particular kid in a way that in case anything happens to you, God forbid, that's where now they come in, or rather they come through for you. That's why insurance, because they tend to protect that particular goal or that particular dream. This is where now they tend to fit into your shoes. You had a plan and you really wanted to educate this particular kid from the age of 12. Disability has occurred. So of course there is a cover in every other plan. So this cover now comes in and chips in now into your education. So instead of you continuing to pay, they tell you now that you're disabled, your cover takes over. So your cover, you're supposed to wait until maybe the 12th year, depending on your plan, or immediately you get some cash, where you're supposed now to use that cash to try and get yourself a new life, or try and have something for yourself. In terms of, maybe for instance, if anything happens to me and today I'm given something like 5 million bob, I know it could be a tricky point, because even thinking around, because I guess the first thing I would buy myself is chicken, just for me to be sure I have the 5 million. the balance
Yeah.
to go away after I have the chicken. But the reality of everything is I'll know at least I have somewhere to start from.
Yeah.
Because if after the 5 million I decide to maybe have like 2 matatus, or maybe even like 4 matatus if I'm wise enough, because I could go through the bank and pay 1 million for each of them, then have the rest of the money topped up by the bank,
Yeah.
and then have them in business as well. Or if not, if I don't want to have all my eggs in one basket, I could maybe decide to have 1 matatu, some kind of business, maybe through my wife, or maybe through me, if I maybe can be able to just sit and do something, or anything. And like I can be able to have somewhere to start from, as compared to when you have nothing, and disability has occurred or death has occurred.
Wow.
And the only thing that is left for the kid is the masses of the people.
Yeah.
Because one thing we really have to, maybe you can be able to back me up on that, is that our lives are our own to handle.
Yeah.
Until you really challenge that, when you discover, wait, I didn't have friends, you know.
Yeah.
Normally, I normally see this during a send off meetings for a colleague or a friend. People are always there to give points that oh, we should look at this kid's education. We should look at what he has left. We should look at every other thing. But immediately the main day has passed and the guy is no more and has been buried. Nobody comes to your rescue. It is basically you and your God alone, you know. And something else to worry is the fact that you normally think that you have friends, rather you normally think that you have family sometimes until you're gone. That's when it is discovered that everything wasn't all right, you know.
Yeah.
Like a perfect story of one of my clients was that my client lost a husband. And of course, the first things that are always scary out there is now what happens? How am I supposed to handle myself? How am I supposed to behave? But little do you know that already there are people who already planning or rather having plans against you, either directly or indirectly. Like for
So,
this,
if I may ask the client, what kind of background in terms of finances was they use? Would you say they were high middle class, or below middle
actually,
class?
it was, I would call it middle class because my client was just a general worker
Mhm.
and the husband was a teacher. So by the time, of course, teachers are well known to have circles and have their investments mostly in the circle. So this particular guy, after he passed on, by the time the lady was going to notify the circle that, hey, my husband is no more, and I would want to know how to handle or where to go or what to do from now on the basis of his account. By the time he was getting to the circle offices, she actually was notified that already the account had been blocked. Why? Person 1, person 2, and person 3 had already gone to the same circle, and notified the circle that my brother, my brother had already passed on, and now they wanted to know how to handle their accounts. But fortunately or unfortunately, the good thing with some nowadays and the systems,
Mhm.
these companies have their set of terms or they have their ways of handling such. So by the time the account was being blocked, it was simply because the circle itself had already seen there was something mischievous here. And of course, the wife should be the one to go and
Reclaim.
really follow up, of course, as the first person. And if need be, there should be an extra member of the family, 2 or 3. So basically, by the time they were blocking it, it was simply because every individual wanted to have himself following it up so that he can actually benefit directly. But forgetting, the wife is the one who's first of all recognized, I bet, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
Then the family, of course, the first family, then the others come in later. So the advantage of all this was that now by the time she was going to complain, she was now the rightful person who should have gone all the way from the first time. But remember, now it's actually a big hit to the wife as well.
Mhm.
Now that she knows the brothers had gone behind her and gone to try and had gone to try and claim uh, what was rightfully hers, you know.
Yeah.
For the family, because of course the guy also had had like a daughter and a son as well. So all these things are things that really happen, and that's when we realize, oh, wow, I wish I knew earlier. And most of the was most of the what most of the really the things that really push me down sometimes when I'm even having my clients are the thoughts of in case anything happens to me, I would want my brother to take over, yet I already know I have a family and I have a wife. We tend to forget, yes, my brother, like personally I have a bigger brother. If in case anything happens to me, I am double sure he would be for the good or for the wellness of my family. But I tend to forget, what if anything happens to me and my brother is paid the claim, and for sure he really has a perfect plan for my family and my kids and everything, and in the process of trying to actualize it, something happens to my brother as well. So
Yeah.
what happens? All the benefits
To somebody else.
goes to somebody else, and now there's a party that will be left hanging.
Wow.
So the best thing when you're looking at all this, you look at the nearest. Some of the times I normally say, if today, like I have a daughter, right? She has a mom.
Yeah.
Whether we are in good or bad terms with a mom, of course I should be in a position to whether to see whether she'd be in the right man to give my daughter the best. And if she is in a better position, if in case I'm not there, why not? Even if you're not in good terms. But in case I see that she's not, the next person I should be able to approve should be somebody I should not be able, I should not like really give 100% of the rights, but I should just give that benefit of doubt of overseeing. I would rather give an institution the power, because an institution will just work directly and in
Precisely to your parameters.
yes, to everything that you had written, purely because they have no interest, But slowly by slowly, the person I had now written as an overseer can be able to follow it through without even accessing. Because you can never trust your treaty until you handle cash or handle other people's money. That's when it really hits you. There is no way that you'd be sleeping hungry and you have a chama that has some savings of around 10,000, and that cash is actually with you. Yeah, they always say chovya like chovya chovya umaliza bula sali. So basically that should be the thing that should happen. By the time unamaliza, here you have a plan of.
So obviously now in this world of trying to, I'm not sure that this is the right question to ask you, but I'm just gonna ask. So for people who are like in this world they don't have a specific cause of making income, right? They're not in a circle. They don't have a family. They just they have money here. They have money there, but they know what it is. Like they're trying to do the unconventional stuff, and sometimes it's not guaranteed whether if they die, this money is gonna be passed on and all that kind of stuff, and who's gonna be left out to. So in cases where people they have these monies, they don't have like institutions that tell them, if you die, who would you like to pass on your wealth to, right? So what is the best way to go about that? Would you recommend a lawyer, maybe some institutions to handle, pass the credentials to the other people once they die? Or does the insurance, once you start having insurance, does insurance come along and say, you know what, this person had this and this, and so the insurance company gives them the access?
So the common thing that every other person knows about, or rather that is very common out here, is the will. But there's something else we call a trust.
Trust, okay.
Yes. A trust and a will are basically the same. It's only that the difference is simply very slight. And to make it clear, a will is basically me doing the writing and saying, in case anything happens to me, this and this should go to this person, this and this should go to this person, and whatever I have should be managed by this other person.
So and so.
So that's a will. And in case anything happens to me, God forbid.
Oh, amazing. Now, welcome from the break. And before the break, we're talking about financial literacy and education. So today, because of how things are going, this is one of a heated topic. And I got some really few questions. And I think these ones are amazing because of all this. Are there any reliable resources you can recommend for individuals looking to learn more about personal finances, insurance, money management, and all that kind of stuff?
For me, like they always say, experience is the best teacher. So one thing I would say that has really come through for me in terms of the knowledge is, one, experience, two, experience, and also being willing to listen and also learn, because every day is a learning day. So you get to learn so much even when it comes to your juniors or other people who have just joined the industry just the other day, and also who have been there in the industry way before you. So yeah, mine is basically that. I'm still yet to tap into the reading culture. A funny thing, I'm not a reader. All from the
Yeah,
word go.
yeah. I'm
But
definitely a reader.
still, yeah, yeah. Just like you, there's a time that you actually commented of a book,
Yeah.
and I've heard it so many times. Even my ex-boss was one person who used to read a lot, so she used to really commend a lot of books. But I was just all there, just trying to wonder how am I supposed to sit down with a book,
Yeah.
you know?
You can try. You can try audiobooks. They work the same.
My personality, I don't know. I've tried. It's not that I've not tried. I'm actually a fan of short stories
Yeah.
or listening.
Yeah.
Like I'm a big fan of Mukuru, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Nice.
I do a lot of listening, but when it comes to reading, I have a very can I call it short or small concentrating span.
Yeah.
Mine is super low.
Can you blame
'Cause,
that on TikTok?
I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah, but way from my early ages, kidogo concentration span ilikuwa ndogo kidogo. Ile
Yeah.
unapata I'm trying to concentrate on something, then all of a sudden my mind iko pale kwa the last video I saw, the last thing I actually thought of, then
Yeah.
kidogo na deviate, and from there coming
Yeah.
back to me is
It's
just a
weird.
whole thing. Yeah.
It's take a lot. It takes more than just reading. It takes a lot.
Mhm.
So let's go to the last question. This is like long term financial success. What is maybe one story you can tell us, and through the goals, effective planning, and the best advice you give to your clients based on long term financial success.
Wow. My best story, it's actually a super motivating one.
Uh-huh.
So I have this, actually she wasn't my client, neither was she my friend. So I met somebody online, and her key interest is basically to understand more about investments. So the first day we planned to meet, by good or bad luck, we actually don't, because anyway, everybody is tied up. But at one time, she has an event at her sister's place. So she invites me over, and I decide, after all this, after work, so why not? So I leave for the place, and I get there. Of course, normally when there's events, when you get to the home, those two African homes, the first thing you're given the sumptuous two meals.
Yeah.
You're there seated with all sorts of people. Then you're trying to interact, get to know new people, or get to make new friends. And then in the process now, after all that, now we had a sitting with her. So that's when she decides to tell me the story of her sister. And it was such a point. It was actually a turning point for me, because it helped me understand so much and really learn so much. So this particular sister had a husband, and had two kids. No, yeah, two kids. The one was very small, just trying to get to the first kumaliza the first year, but the bigger son was around 4 or 5 years. So this particular sister, the husband was working in these big hotels around Naivasha, and the guy was an accountant. But this guy was the kind of guy who would, I don't know. Some people are just meant to be all perfect. Finding a fault for this guy was just a hard thing for me, because this guy was the kind of person who would earn and make sensible decisions, even when it came to the finances.
Yeah.
And this particular guy was doing farming part time, and everything farming. He used, every other time he would come home during the weekends, now that he used to work from far. The guy used to live in Thika, and the guy used to come on every other weekend. He used to come home. So every other weekend he used to take up his son, and he would go with the son to the farm. And he would be very straight with the son, that he would always tell the son what is happening. So this is a planting season. We are actually weeding, or rather cultivating, then we are supposed to get this in terms of results. We are supposed to handle these results in this way. If it is beans, we're supposed to sell them at this particular time or through this particular channel for us to get an income out of it. For the livestock, that is for the cows and the like. And he actually used to insist that every other time you come to the farm, there is no way you'd find lesser in terms of number. So if I have 5 cows, or if we have 5 cows, this there's no way I'd come.
Scene three, take three. Let's go. All right. So this is definitely the bonus content, and you're telling me something that is so simple that people, misregard it because they don't have the information.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I heard that you can insure the laptop through you.
Yeah, because yeah. So apart from working with life assurance,
Yeah.
I work with an agency called
Yeah.
Nyaseri Agency.
Yes.
So Nyaseri deals with property, vehicles, anything insurable. As long as you love it and you'd want to insure it, just let me know. Let's see how we can do it.
So you're talking about I can insure my laptop.
Yeah. Because actually, we not even your laptop.
Mhm.
Start from home. You can actually insure your home stuff, like your TV, your sound system. What else is really
Fridge.
important? Yeah, your fridge, anything electric and electronic, furniture, anything in the house. And
Yeah.
that is one point that we normally assume, but it's actually the cheapest and the easiest. Because look at it from this point of view. We normally, nowadays, we have issues with people coming back home to finding their walls all naked.
Yeah.
Yet they had left them with that Kaplasma,
Yeah.
flat screen TCL, sound system, a microwave, fridge, and then in one or another you get home and you find
It's
nothing.
gone. Yeah.
Actually, you find an empty house.
Yeah.
Actually, there's a story I heard the other day.
Uh-huh.
Maybe I should talk about that.
Yeah,
'Cause,
go on.
a guy lives, is actually in that mood of celebrating. He leaves the house and he's like, yay, it's time to celebrate, Goes to Sherehe, joins, has his drinks and enjoys.
Yeah.
But in the evening, as he's going back home, as he's opening his door, he gets a lot of echo from the other end, and he's wondering, hey, what's happening? Hey,
Yeah.
today there's a lot of echo. Enters his house, and he's just like having nothing, like in the
Wow.
house, nothing, close to nothing, even like that cashew brush. So he gets worried, and he's actually asking himself, who is this that actually washed my house like completely full,
Ama mengi nyumba mbaya.
Yeah, like he actually leaves it in the house like to check.
Yeah.
So he comes back to the house and really decides, instead of going to the cops right now when I'm this drunk, they'll actually maybe take me like I'm not as sober, like I'm just having my own stories. Let me wait for tomorrow, then I can go and report it. So
Yeah.
the guy conjures himself in one of the corners, gets his good sleep, because anyway, when you're drunk, I don't want to really put weight on that, but
Yeah.
anyway, if you know, you know. So gets some sleep and wakes up in the morning. Then that's when all of a sudden, 2 minutes later, after he wakes up, he starts laughing. And
Whoa.
of course, from our end, we're actually wondering why is he now laughing? Like he has just suffered a whole blow. Little does he actually now recall that he actually, the reason as to why he was going to celebrate was because he had shifted to a bigger house.
Yeah.
Now he actually went to the old house. So he was actually the one who had actually shifted. So my point, maybe from that point, now imagine everything had been carried away.
Yeah.
So if this guy had insured the whatever he had in the house, which is actually very easy to do that, he would still be way comfortable. Why? The only thing he would have done, he was to just now go and launch a claim, and now investigations also happen, which now helps you to maybe even try and get the person who did that. And if they don't yield any fruits, the guy gets paid like some good amount. That basically means you furnish your house now fully and newly. I don't know
Yeah.
whether you get that point. So yeah, so that is good, which is very important as well. Apart from that, you can always insure your assets in terms of work related assets. Maybe you can talk of the laptops. Most people like see them carrying backpacks, And nowadays it's very risky because even when you carry your backpack with one side, your laptop bag with one side, nowadays in Agongwa tuna, it's carried and it's gone, and
Wow.
all the information there is gone.
Yeah.
So it's super safe to also insure that your phones as well. The only thing that you cannot insure alone is a phone, simply because it's a risk on its own. So you have to include other items like the laptops and the like.
Cameras.
Yeah, the cameras, vehicles as well.
Yeah.
The vehicle can nowadays they are being stolen. I don't want to specify the model, but if you know, you
Yeah.
know. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's super safe to at least have some insurance, because it's not only stealing that would actually affect you, but pia your gari kuharibika kidogo, and especially if you actually depend on it fully, it's actually super good to have all that uh, as well covered. So apart from that, anything else you feel like should be insured, if it's property, anything, just think around it, and just drop a text or a call, and we shall gladly I shall gladly advise.
But you should leave us your phone number. So if people want to find you, what is your work phone number? Do you have that?
Yes, still on my pages,
Yeah.
Njuguna Waithera, you'll find my contact there. But if you actually need it right now, it's 0704 680 668.
All right. Hey guys, if you like today's show, man, this is our guy. Let us know in the chat whether we should bring him, or you got questions you want to expound on, so that we can know what we want to ask him next time with deeper specificity that you bring to the table. Without further ado, well, appreciate you for coming.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure having you on the
The
show.
pleasure is all mine.
Okay, guys, if you haven't subscribed yet, and if you want more guests like this, if you want to learn how to get inspired and empowered through your success journey, your relationships, and definitely getting healthy, then click that subscribe button and give this a like, because it's going to help us grow and reach bigger audiences. Without further ado, I'll see you in the next show. That's the part you pause, man.